All right, what is the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Thanks for joining us every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. for the premier Panthers podcast, bringing you that Carolina talk from the fan perspective. If it's your first time tuning in, folks, this show is brought to you by fans for fans. We're not journalists. We're not football experts, but we are expert football fans. And I am happy to be here with my homeboy, Joe Riolano, that freaking Puerto Rican, a.k.a. Lazarus.
Welcome back, brother.
It is nice to be in the house, let me tell you about it. I am the man who has his own wing named after him at the hospital, and I'm still living. Thank you very much.
And you didn't even have to donate it in one single check.
No, I'm donating it in small amounts.
A lifetime donation.
That's right. That is correct. It's great to be back on the show. I'm really excited about what we have in store. We've got training camp going on. We've got some interesting battles, a lot of stuff happening in the last couple of days. I can't wait to get to it.
I'm excited as well. We also have Mel Mayock, Aaron Ford. Thanks for coming on the show again.
What's happening, Professor? Hey, I tell you, it's Tuesday night. It's football season. That means we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. It's my favorite night of the week. Let's get it going. We got the freaking Puerto Rican back in the house. C3 back together. Let's go.
I feel like you've been on the show a lot lately, which is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, thankfully.
You didn't try to tell me something there, are you?
No, I'm telling you, it's glad. I feel like you're on the road because you're usually the traveling man. I've been on the road. Joey's on the road. You're the one that's been.
You jinxed it, though. I'm out the next 2 weeks, man. On the road.
Oh, gosh. Oh, no. All right. Well, guys, tonight's show, just for everybody, it's episode 15.26, Training Camp, a Stress Reaction. Last week, we were pumped up for the opening. Face it, fellas, we were optimistic. We were excited.
A little intoxicated at times throughout the show.
Sometimes. And this week, we're here to figure out if we are excited or stressed by those first 5 days of practice that we were expecting. So we're going to talk about that tonight, guys. And also, if you want to tweet the show, you can hit us up on Twitter. Use the hashtag C3. We want you to get in and on the conversations. Joe Riolano, are you stressed or are you still in that optimistic? Just initial reaction before we jump in.
I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic because of what I read today regarding Funchess. I think it was David Newton from ESPN wrote an article talking about what he's seen from him and how he's been impressed by him so far to this point in training camp. So that I'm very optimistic because of that. Now there are some reasons to be concerned as well, and I'm sure we'll hit those up over the course of the show.
Mel, stressed or stressed out or still overly optimistic?
I am stressfully optimistic.
Stressfully optimistic.
There you go. I'm a little bit of both, man. It's that time of year you got to be optimistic, and I think our most important player on offense is healthy this year compared to last year. So bright things are ahead, but man, you got people retiring, you got people out with injuries, you got our two big stud defensive tackles not participating right now. So I'm a little worried about a few things.
That is stressful. Let's jump into that and let's talk about what's hot on C3.
Austria. Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Oh, I'm just getting warmed up. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket.
Dylan, because I spit hot fire.
Take a flamethrower to this place!
What's hot on C3? It's that time, folks, where we talk about what's hot on C3. And today, or yesterday, should I say, star Lotulelei was carted off the field. Reports were scattered out of the gate. Rivera downplayed the matter after practice, saying they were being extra cautious. But then I think it was AP reporter Steve Reed who pointed out, hey, that big guy is limping significantly. So this might not just be overly cautious. Turns out that both he and I have a stress reaction, it turns. And this is one level below a stress fracture. Mel, how did it feel to see the big man hobbled like that?
It was frightening because I tell you, last year in that Seattle game, we sorely missed Starr in that middle. He's the guy that eats up all the blockers and allows our linebackers to get out there and make plays. Missing him is frightening. And throughout OTAs, he looked great. So I was feeling very good about how that foot healed up. 3 days into camp, flared up on him. So I'm a little worried.
You know, when it comes to feet are, especially for big men, feet are a problem that really never goes away.
Don't say that, Joey.
I'm sorry to break the news to you. It can be, it can be healed, but he's always going to have issues with his feet for the rest of his career. So, if I think he's a good enough player to where he doesn't need to be out there every practice, every play. I think the biggest thing for him is just getting in shape and staying in shape. When it comes to game day, he'll be there, and he'll be in the fire, and what he's capable of doing. But I just don't think this is going to be a problem that will go away. I think we'll be dealing with this.
You're reading my mind here, Joey. First of all, I can tell you, for big guys, feet are, it never goes, my feet hurt. And when I run, like all the time, my feet are always killing me. So I'm going to tell you one thing, is that if I weighed 125 more pounds or 145 more pounds, that would, I can just imagine. I'm not going to say how fat I am, but it's fat enough. The other thing is this, Joe, is what the hell should Carolina do about this? You said he's a good enough player. In this case, how long do you, if you think you got a good chance, which I feel like we like that, we're looking forward to this season with that sort of optimism, how long do you keep him in the, just hanging out?
I think you keep him off of the field as long as it takes to get that foot healed. It's probably going to be a considerable amount of time, and what you work on is low impact endurance building, a bicycle, for example, and
right.
Maybe some low impact like treadmill,
walking.
We're probably not going to see him again until September 13th.
Right, which would be fine with me.
What week is that? Tell me, Mel. What date is that in Jacksonville?
I'm going to be with you and the freaking Puerto Rican week 1 down in Jacksonville.
All right, here. Am I crazy to think that we should hold Starr out through the first 4 weeks of the season? That's my opinion on this matter. I say you let him sit out all of training camp. You let him sit out against Jacksonville, Houston, Tampa, and the Saints. We could win those games without him potentially. Wouldn't it be good? Or maybe have him come back against the Saints, so we could definitely have him for that stretch against Indy, the Eagles, those dudes.
Seattle.
Yeah. Is that too crazy, Joey?
That's pretty crazy. I'm not. I see what you're thinking, and I have to agree with you. I think those games are winnable without him. I'd like to have him back for that Saints game, just so we can
to get the jitters out.
Yeah, just to get ready for what's coming up.
But you
you
also don't want T.J. Yeldon to get his career started in Jacksonville week 1 against us and look like a superstar running up the middle. So, it's going to depend on how Colin Cole and Dwan Edwards look in the preseason.
And speaking of, KK, who is out with injured back spasms.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
These big guys get a lot of nicks and dings, don't they?
They do, and it's so easy for them to get something like that, like a back spasm or a foot injury because of their size.
Yeah, just like getting out of the car.
And if you think about it, you know, they're 300 pounds butting heads with 300 pounders.
So they're getting in a car wreck when they get out of the car.
Every time, every play.
All right. Last question about this big guy and his injury, Starr. Is he going to be the star? Is Starr going to be the defensive version of Jeff Otah, guys?
Oh gosh.
I think it's way too early to go there, man. I hope not. But I mean, you know, his first almost full 2 years were injury free. Otah can say the same thing. So.
Right. No, I don't think so. I think.
He played a season and a half.
Yeah, and I think if he can take it
all
easy.
the way through it into the playoffs, he was healthy.
Didn't
Right.
he miss, I thought he missed 4 games.
He missed the playoff game against Seattle.
And he missed 4 games in the season.
I don't remember that.
He missed games 8 through 12, I think.
I don't remember.
I think he did.
But I really don't see him being Otah-like. I really believe if he gets the time off, the foot will take care of itself, and then he can.
But didn't Otah? I mean, that's the big guy. I thought his was a foot. I think it may have been a knee.
A knee, yeah, I think it was a knee.
Yeah. Just scared. You know, that's where my mind goes.
Sure.
Big guy hurt. That's very important to us.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, if Otah would have been good, that would have been. I mean, if he would have stayed healthy, he would have been good.
Oh,
He
I
would have been good.
thought he played great.
He was a beast.
He
Yeah,
was.
so- all right. Speaking of old guys, Chris Houston retired today. Cornerback that missed all of 2014 in Detroit, I believe. Carolina had signed him late in the free agency period. And it appears he may have, or he re-injured his toe, and the same toe, and now he has retired kind of suddenly. I don't even know if he told the team. Do you know the circumstances of that, Mel?
I don't. You know, I was under the assumption that, you know, he was going to provide some good, solid depth for us, and then hearing that he retired, I kind of felt like Jonathan Martin. It's like, man, maybe they were afraid of the Spartanburg heat, or maybe some of the big guys like Mike Tolbert and the boys were eating all their good food. I don't know what's going on, but no, I'm not sure what happened there. And he was making $870,000, so to walk away from that kind of money, that toe's got to be hurting.
Yeah.
Joe, does that stress you out?
Not really.
Me either.
If we were relying on Houston,
Yeah, if we were in trouble. I did like the fact that, you know, he has experience. He's a veteran. I do like that aspect of it. But he was, you know, as far as actual on the field time, I don't think he was going to see a whole lot of it. But it was sort of sudden. It was the same toe that caused him to miss all of last year. So whatever it was, he did not want to rehab it again. He didn't want to go through the same process he went through last year, and he called it quits. And, you know, it didn't really hurt us terribly, but now it frees up a spot for us to go and get somebody.
I tell you, this training camp, it's been nice not to see Jonathan Stewart over there on the bike, but I was hoping for a little bit less of the injury bug visit to Spartanburg. We've had our share already.
I am not going to say the name that I said earlier when just talking about Starr. First of all, Willie P. Nasty said, Starr isn't Otah, Starr is in shape. And Susan told me to hush my mouth, bite my tongue. So, yeah, the injuries right away.
By the way, Twitter follower Missy points out for $870,000, she would just suck it up and go out there and play.
On nine toes.
I would say give me the Jason Pierre-Paul
Exactly.
Just cut it off.
Take it.
I'm ready to go.
Take it.
All right. Michael Oher struggled in the opening days of camp. That seemed to be the biggest storyline over the weekend outside of the Stephen Hill season-ending knee injury. What are your concerns, guys? What's your level of concern with Michael Oher through those first couple of days, and currently, how do you feel about it?
Well, I know somewhere our buddy Clyde was smiling. He even tweeted with me about it. He's wanting Oher to fail so he could say, "I told you so." But, hey, I also heard he started to look better here the last couple of days. Getting used to the system, I think it's too early to judge. I'm hoping and I'm praying that he plays well. But I'm a little.
What's your level of concern? Are you stressed or are you optimistic?
I'm stressfully optimistic.
Stressfully optimistic. Okay. Yeah, it's actually perfect because I'm with you on that. I'm joining the stressfully optimistic club.
All right.
Joey, what's your level of concern with Michael Oher at this point?
Well, I think that everybody's got some degree of concern going into this. I read tonight that Ron Rivera came out and said he wasn't as worried, and it's not as big a deal as everybody's making it out to be because he got beat on one-on-one drills. But when it came to the entire offensive line playing together, he wasn't getting beat. And he said it was, Rivera said, mainly because he hadn't played left tackle in 2 seasons. He's been playing on the right side. So the speed was an issue for him. But once he got into the, full offensive line drills where there's 5 of them, he wasn't getting burnt like that.
And
so,
maybe Frank the Tank is just that good.
And
we're going to talk about him tonight. We're going to talk about him. But I mean, he always shines. He's a training camp stud, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is. He's preseason All-Pro.
I think the general sentiment online right now, and what Panther Nasty said is he's disappointed Martin and Houston retired, thought they would be good for depth. And I think that's the ultimate point behind this. And then at Carolina_champ, Barry says the lack of depth behind Oher is still concerning. And I think that's the question with this team and the concerns right there. It's the same question that goes with Starr, and when you see Short get hurt up like that at the same time, or nicked up, should we say. These guys are nicked up. They're important players. And then you've got some other positions that we don't know with Oher what he's going to be. It would be nice if Martin was there just for a guy in case he had to play a 4th quarter that has actually played the position before. And so where the thing with Oher that is really disconcerting, guys, and this is where my level of concern is, you got to wonder if we're making the same mistake we made last year with Byron Bell, and that is gambling with no backup plan. And not that we're going to bench Oher for Martin, but what happens here? What happens if Oher gets hurt?
Right.
We are screwed.
Good Lord have mercy. You got either Nate Chandler or the big Frenchie coming in.
Okay, and so this is also on top of that is the fact that if that is the case, then that makes Oher more valuable to this team than he's supposed to be. That's where the whole lingering fear of all of these injuries come out at, and where our real concern about Michael Oher, our concern about the Houston guy, is that we know we really shouldn't be worried about these dudes because we're kind of worried about them actually even playing the position. But we're then forced to say, we got to have you. And that sucks.
Well, I think we definitely need, now that we have the player space since Houston's retired, we should take a long look at a left tackle, whether it's Jake Long or Anthony Collins or somebody, but we need to take a long look at somebody because we do need the depth. And not only that, but it would provide some competition. And competition is another thing that we missed last year when we had Byron Bell, he didn't have to try hard because the position was already his. And I'm not saying Oher isn't going to put in 100%, but if he had somebody there that was fighting for the position too, his effort would be greater. So
are we worried about his feelings? Is that what Dave Gettleman's worried about? Was he worried about Byron Bell's feelings last year? Are they worried about what that would say to, like, if he's tough enough to take having another guy on the team that plays your position?
No, Gettleman isn't the kind of guy that's going to worry about having a backup at your position or competition is going to make you feel.
But it is disconcerting to me that we did not address another pick I love Devin Funchess, and I really do think he's going to be a number one receiver. But we could have taken another receiver like Devin Smith or somebody else later.
Who's out right now with a punctured lung, right?
I tell you, man. The injury bug is making its rounds. You see, Arian Foster looks like he's going to be out for as much as
several weeks.
He might have to have surgery on that groin.
Yeah,
hopefully, at least through week 2, we're hoping he's going to be out.
Oh, he's going to be gone. I know that guy is
a year.
And Darren, he is a more successful Darren McFadden to me.
Yeah.
And that is, he's awesome, but man, the injury guy, he's plagued. All right.
And his backup, Alfred Blue, got carted off the field today too.
Oh, I hate to say, but that is all good news for us because I think, and I was looking at the schedule today, I think we could start out 4-0. But I know, which makes me feel awesome. All right, I want to keep talking about training camp, our stressed or optimistic reactions. Shaq Thompson is finally hit the headlines in the videotape, getting into the backfield, pressuring the quarterback, stopping the running back in the backfield, kind of that fast athleticism. How excited were you to see that, Mel?
Oh, I'm excited. It's exciting to see what having 3 top-tier type linebackers, what that's going to mean. And I think we're going to need it because, let's face it, we don't have that dominant defensive end anymore. We don't have Greg Hardy. We don't have Julius Peppers. So we need, and last year the drop-off in our sacks really did come from the secondary, the back 7. So adding another player into that back 7, I think it's pretty exciting to see what we can do.
Yeah, that's a good point, Joey, is that it seemed that our defense in 2013 was so dynamic because at real important moments, integral moments, McDermott would gamble with a safety blitz or corner blitz.
Yeah.
And do you like that level of surprise, that kind of wild cardness he brings to the game, Joey?
I do. I think that if it's done at a pivotal moment in the game, yes, because it can totally affect the momentum. It can totally disrupt a team's rhythm, if you will. And that is what I do like about Shaq Thompson. I was reading what Rivera said about him today. Rivera said he is very Thomas Davis-esque in his ability to get to the ball, and how him being out on the field is going to allow us to do so much in our coverage, and it's going to give us a leg up. Where last season we were a bit more hamstrung because we didn't have that athletic player as that third linebacker. They said that Shaq Thompson was working with the 2s, but that they were beginning to mix him in with the 1s, and you could really see his potential.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm glad to find. I mean, we knew his name was going to come out in camp, and I almost like him to just be riding under the radar and let our first round pick. All of a sudden, he's going to be all over SportsCenter in the first couple of weeks. It's like, oh, this was such a genius pick. All right, that's basically what's been going on in training camp until this point. There's some other side stories that we've been following on CarolinaCatChronicles.com. I believe speaking of Thomas Davis-esque, this Cam Wow, which he did sign it upside down because he dropped it and then had to pick it back up. But this Cam Wow, guys, is Thomas Davis-esque because it was signed by Thomas Davis.
Nice.
Mel, you got your Cam Wow in the mail. Was it everything you thought it would be?
No, it's more, man. This thing is bad to the bone. Love it. This thing is awesome. And look what else came with it. This shirt, oh, man, it's better than I even thought it would be. That is really that's awesome. So,
Isn't it nice when it
it's comfortable, too, man.
Everything
Absolutely.
in life is great when it exceeds expectations, and these turned out fantastic. Joey, you want to know where you could get yours?
Yes, please tell me, because I would like to order one after we're done tonight.
You can get your Cam Wow. Oh, wow, get your Cam Wow at CarolinaCatChronicles.com, and you can pick up a C3-peat shirt. It's a three-peat. Panthers 3-peat 2015. I'd love to see everyone show that they are confident enough to buy the shirt for the campaign to win the NFC.
Have the
South.
kahunas to wear a Carolina Panthers C3-peat shirt. You gotta have the kahunas. Yes.
Yeah, that is the truth of the matter, and don't be scared. No, be confident, and know that you're a true fan when you know your team's going to do it no matter what. And if they don't, guess what? You're still had a great time that season. Guys, I think now it's time to play
Funny.
a little
Sometimes
finish
I just don't get
that
people. Human beings are so weird. Who talks in front of a camera by themselves for fun? We thought that was a good idea. These ideas, some of these things that you use every day. Who's the guy or a girl that was like,
This makes no sense.
good idea?
That's a good idea.
Love that intro, man.
It is a good idea, and it's the time of the show where I pose a thought and my boys they finish it. And every now and then I'll even chime in and finish my own thoughts. Joey Riolano, that freaking Puerto Rican, Peanut Tillman's addition to this defense. Go.
Will do wonders for our young secondary. His experience and his professionalism are going to be the biggest things that rub off. If he's healthy, we're going to see him make some plays, but the biggest impact he have will be in the locker room, and he's going to be like having a coach on the field.
Mel, Peanut Tillman's addition to this defense
Is a stopgap measure. It's and it's also rolling the dice. I live out here in Vegas. He's taking a gamble, man, and I agree with the freaking Puerto Rican. If he's healthy, if things go well, man, he could be the surprise and genius pickup for the year. But that's rolling the dice, and he's not a long-term answer. I would have loved to have seen us pick up another prospect or two in the draft at cornerback, but it's kind of a stopgap. It's not going to be. He's not the long-term solution. Put it that way.
Speaking of, did you see that Marcus Peters had 3 picks in training camp in one camp the other day?
Mm-hmm. And one day.
That was I like that guy a lot. I think he's going to be a great player. Speaking of drafted cornerbacks, this is what I think about Peanut Tillman's addition to this defense is worth the absolute most to Josh Norman. And I think that Josh Norman's contract with whatever team he signs, whether it be the Carolina Panthers or another team, has just increased in value, probably in the range of $4 to $5 million just from having Peanut Tillman as a mentor to him this season. I think what Peanut Tillman does is helps Josh Norman hit that tier of elite cornerback play, and this is why not because he's going to just teach Josh Norman, but Josh Norman is that typical, he's so confident in himself and his ability and his playmaking. I would be concerned his level of coachability. And is this something that has been a problem that has slowed his development a little bit, because you have to be humble to a certain degree to be coached. And this is what I think Peanut Tillman brings to this, is Tillman has a credibility. He has a demeanor of a professional in the league that has been not just a schlub player, but a legit playmaking, winning corner. And I think that Josh Norman listens to that. I think he receives that, and I think that that's something that makes his coachability go up. So I see a big jump there.
Is that wishful thinking, Professor, or is there something you see to make that happen? Because Thomas Davis would talk to him last year. Thomas Davis is the same high-quality dude, right? And I didn't see much change. Now, granted, Norman, I think, matured quite a bit last year. I think he took a big step forward. But I think you might be thinking wishful thinking there, adding $4 or $5 million value.
I think the difference with in that analogy is, or the comparison, should I say, is Thomas Davis plays a linebacker, right? Different position, different set of kind of pressures and nuances to the game. And so Josh Norman will receive his kind of, probably respected his talk and his thoughts to a degree, but at the end of the day, he's going to go home and be like, you don't play corner, you don't know what it's like, you know. And I'm not trying to be crazy about it. I'm just saying that's what I would be like.
But you know what I love? You know what I loved about Norman this past week? They asked him where he wanted to be, and he said, where else would you want to be other than Carolina? He wants to be here. So he's not playing of saying, well, we'll see what they offer, we'll see what they do, it's all business. He said he wants to be nowhere but here.
I just saw Peanut Tillman walking around training camp when I went this on Friday, and
you got to talk about your trip, man.
He just has a demeanor. Yeah, we will. He just has a demeanor that I think that Josh Norman would be receptive to. So I'm excited about it. All right, finish that thought. Joey, my level of optimism has blank since last week.
My level of optimism has increased. It might be marginally, but it has increased since last week. I like what I'm hearing about Shaq Thompson. I like what I'm hearing about Devin Funchess. I like what I'm hearing about Cam and how focused and healthy he is. So there have been some setbacks, but like I said, overall optimism marginally increased.
Mel, my level of optimism has blank since last week.
Has leveled out a little bit. I mean, I was on a meteoric rise. Just I was having trouble sleeping at night. I was so excited.
Yeah.
But now, I still think we are the team to beat in the NFC South, and in the right situations, right circumstances, we can go all the way. But our depth, man, scares the crap out of me. We don't have a whole lot of.
You said leveled out. I was gonna say plateaued, and now that you have said that this meteoric rise, the only thing the first thought that came to my head was like a rocket ship blasting off, right? And then that kind of feeling when it goes through the stratosphere and out of the atmosphere into space, and they've kicked off their boosters, and now it's kind of like floating and not.
That's where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not as powerful as it was. All right.
Well, that's because they have medical marijuana there in Nevada. That's why you feel that way, Mel.
Got the late night punchies.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about my training camp experience, guys. I drove down to Spartanburg, a good haul from Greenville, North Carolina.
How many hours?
I think if you did it straight, it's 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
And
word has it though that you stopped in the mean streets of Waxhaw for a beer or two at a bar downtown Waxhaw.
I stayed in Waxhaw, and it was Wesley. And you know what? That's how little I know about the whole entire area. I was going to my buddy's house, and I wanted to give them some time and some notice. So I stopped in a Hickory Tavern. By the way, advertising does work because I Googled, like, take me to the closest bar as soon as I got, that was my exact statement to my Google. And it gave
And
me some options.
did your Google say, let me guess, your Google said, again? Damn.
Where else would you go? It said. So it gave me some options, and I went to Hickory Tavern, and I based my selection because I had heard about it on radio advertisement on WFNZ. So it does work. I mean, I picked that one because of that. The thing, though, is that I could have picked another one that was closer to my buddy's house. So when he was like, come on over, it took me like 25 minutes to get there. But we had fun. It was exciting. I was so fun. I even sold 2 Cam Wells to the bartender. That's how exciting they are.
Very nice.
All right, so then I hauled it down to training camp. But before I went to training camp, guys, I actually attended the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce FYI Friday, where it's like a group at the Piedmont Club, which, dude, Piedmont Club, that ain't when I say I go to the club, that's not the club I usually go to. So this is a private, like, country club, I would guess you would call it, in Spartanburg, where the high ups go, and Danny Morrison, president of the Panthers, addressed them. They talked about Spartanburg and the relationship with the Carolina Panthers and how important it is to everybody. It was really an awesome experience. I'm going to write about it. And then I went to the opening festivities. A lot of peddling towels at that point, and then I hung out with all the cats from Roaring Riot and saw the game. It was great. Or not the game, the practice.
Sweet.
What a great trip.
Hot.
Let me ask you, did you do any bird watching?
I did. All right, so I did see Demir Bird get action on the very first day. You know, it's hard to get a lot of reps in that first practice. I think for the smaller guys, they weren't trying to feature them, but I saw Demir Bird playing an active role in kickoff returns. So, and he is fast, dude, lightning fast. He made Todman and Fozzie Whitaker look slow.
Man, I hope he makes
slow.
Oh, I hope he makes it.
Joey, I also got my microbrewery while I was there.
Oh, yeah?
It ain't that micro. It's a pretty dang big place, but it's called RJ Rockers. You know about it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it was fun. Went to Cribs. It was nice, dude.
How was
it? Great. Like, they have a cool menu. Yeah, they have a cool menu. It's a cool bar. I would suggest going to I would say this is just be careful of the heat, folks. Like, it is hot. It's like the thermostat is set to hell in Spartanburg.
That's why people are retiring, man. Crazy.
If they were gonna buy something on the internet before they went to Spartanburg to enjoy camp, Joey, where would they go to do it?
That's shameless.
That is.
They would go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com to do it, and they would click the shop link and click on Amazon. They could get whatever they're looking for right there at Carolina Cat Chronicles through the Amazon link, get it delivered, and it helps us. It helps us as a site because
I've used it last week. I bought 2 or 3 things off of it.
Nice. Well, I love Amazon. I love to drink and prime, as I say. Joey, I forgot to tell you guys that I was going to do this tonight, but we put out a Where's That Cat Now about a week ago. And did you know, or you heard, I'm sure, I got to hang out and talk with Deshaun Foster of the Carolina Panthers from 2002 to 07, I believe. We'll get the details of that. But I caught up with him. Joey, would you like to hear a clip of it?
Absolutely.
Check out this. You can find the full interview at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Go under podcast and check out Where's That Cat Now. Here's a little clip from that interview with Deshaun Foster. You know, in your rookie season, what an interesting season was. Your first carry in the preseason game against the Skins, you broke a 61-yard touchdown, and then later in the preseason, you suffered a very bad knee injury. Turns out microfracture of the left knee. You missed the rest of the season, torn cartilage. The injury was so severe that you couldn't start working out again until May. How did you handle the emotion of coming into the pros and having that moment in the preseason of success, and then later followed by what you saw your season go right out the window?
It was tough, especially at that age. I think I was 21, 22 maybe, and you just want to play ball, and it was taken away from me. So it was okay because it was early and I was able to come back from there. I was glad I hadn't had any other damage in my knee prior to that. So I was able to come back and perform somewhat, I guess.
You noted about your comeback when you were in the process, or I guess actually when you returned, you said, I wasn't going to be denied. I wanted to get back out there. I knew I would play again. I just didn't know what level. I'm just glad my leg held up the way it's held up. So what we saw is you come back from that injury, and then your first touchdown run was the greatest run in Panther history almost, the 1-yard run. How did you do that? And when you're having a down day, do you just like YouTube that and watch it?
Now that you mention it, I might start doing that, but I haven't done that before. But
I do. I watch it when I'm having a bad day.
It was the playoffs. You're just kind of locked in and ready to go. So I was just excited that my 1-yard run is probably one of my best runs in my career. So it's crazy that it's for 1 yard.
It was amazing. I watch it all. I swear I still watch it. I just wonder, was it Dawkins that had trouble wrapping you up? You almost should just send them that on their birthday every year.
Well, Freddie Mitchell was on that team at that time, and we went to school together, so I used to tease him a lot with that.
That's great. That was your first NFL touchdown, wasn't it?
Now that you say that, I think so. I believe so.
That's
my
crazy.
First rushing one. I think I had a receiving one earlier in the year, but I think that was my first rushing.
Wow, what a run! I encourage everybody to go back and look at it. Okay, let me ask you this: if I pulled out a deck of cards right now, would we play some poker, or what we used to play in the gym was pity pat, or would you just start doing push-ups?
Oh, push-ups.
I was reading up about you in high school, and your dad was concerned about how much you trained. And your dad said you would go back in your room and do a deck of cards with push-ups. You draw an ace, you do 11. Are you going to make Paul do that if he doesn't cook a good dinner?
Well, I think we got Paul on a better workout than just the deck of cards, but I'm sure if I presented it to him, he would do it. That's the type of kid he is. He's always trying to get an edge on guys. But that's pretty funny that you said that. Those are memories right there. I used to just go in the room and just hit a deck of cards.
I used to know a kid in high school that did that, and his name was Andre, and he used to do that, and he wasn't but 5'2", but he was just as cock-teased as it comes. All right, I got another fun question for you. When I say Bojangles, do you think of Sweet Tea or D'Angelo Williams?
I'm thinking Sweet Tea.
Okay. I saw that, D'Angelo Williams used to give you a hard time in the locker room as a rookie.
And we used to make him bring. That's funny.
And he's no Bo Jackson. He's Bojangles, according to Deshaun Foster.
I can't believe you found this stuff. That's
I told you I get excited about these interviews, man. We're fans.
You dug up some good. Yeah, you dug up some good stuff. That's funny. But D'Angelo's a good guy. I had fun playing with him.
So that's Deshaun Foster in Where's That Cat Now? You can catch that entire interview, or podcast, should I say, on CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can also get that on iTunes and Stitcher under the C3 Carolina Panthers podcast. Guys, we had a blast, me and Deshaun Foster. Have you gone back and watched that video yet?
I have, man. Let me say, man, you shock me every time you do these. You come up with these things that these guys are not expecting. I mean, hearing about the guy pulling cards and doing push-ups in his room and calling D'Angelo Williams Bojangles. I mean, you're talented, dude. I'm telling you, that's some good stuff right there.
That really is a great interview.
That is. You could tell it caught him off guard, and it was not his ordinary interview. But I do encourage everybody to go out and listen to that full interview. He's a running backs coach out there at UCLA right now, where he went to college. So I love Deshaun Foster. That was a great interview. Let me point out a couple things about him. All right, he was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. At 1 year old, he moved out. Or 1 year old, he moved out to Orange County because his dad was in the military. But both sides of his parental family is from Charlotte, and he used to spend summers in Charlotte. So he's got some ties to us other than playing the Panthers. And guess where he bought his first house in Charlotte?
Where?
I was living in a little neighborhood in Ballantyne. My daughter went and trick-or-treated, and she came home, and she knows how much I love the Panthers, and she said, Dad, you won't believe it, but Deshaun Foster lives down the street. He bought this little house in my neighborhood, so I was neighbors with Deshaun Foster when he was playing with the Panthers as a rookie, man. That was the first couple of years. That's pretty cool.
That's legit. Joey, if you trick-or-treated at Deshaun Foster's house, what would you expect to get?
Cash money.
Cash money.
Straight cash.
That's a good one.
Cash, homie.
Deshaun Foster was one of my favorite running backs for the Carolina Panthers. I really liked him at UCLA, and I remember that Redskin run. I remember that very first carry he had. He looked like he was going to just rule the world on that run that he had against the Redskins.
Imagine how excited you were. You could probably feel it bubbling right now.
Man, that was a great run. Him and Biaka Batuka. Biaka Batuka was another one of my favorites.
Biaka Batuka-esque.
Joey likes the running backs. He's always liked the running backs. If I went trick-or-treating at Deshaun Foster's house, I would be like, I need like 50 black visors. That's what I think of when I think of Deshaun Foster.
I love that part of that. I love that part of the interview when you ask him about the visor. You told him, you said, "Man, I thought you were bigger."
I know. Just alone, it's so intimidating. He was an intimidating-looking guy, and he's just like a normal dude that buys a house in your neighborhood and doesn't give you cash money when you trick-or-treat, probably.
Oh, yeah. He gave like little mini Snickers.
Yeah, nice. That is a good. That's not crap.
That's not crap candy. You're right.
Yeah. I respect anybody that gives out good candy. I say this, folks: if you're gonna give out mess, don't give out the cheap mess.
Yeah. Give out stuff you would want for yourself.
Yeah, because us parents are picking through the treat bag.
Exactly.
Every Reese's peanut. Yeah, that's why my feet hurt all the time, and that's why there's no Reese's peanut butter cup that has ever been given at Halloween at this damn
Michael
house.
has eaten.
Yeah, that is a tax, brother. That's a tax. All right. Guys, I think also I got some audio, too, of the Frank the Tank. This is Frank the Tank, Frank Alexander, talking about his expectations of this season. I figure we'll close the kind of show on this topic.
I think I could be as good as I want to be. It's just, main thing is just believing in yourself. It's like you've been playing this game since, a little kid, and at the end of the day, it's just going out there and, achieving your goals. One of them is to get 10-plus sacks, 2 tackles for loss a game, and, one of them is to be a better pass rusher, with one-on-one situations and stuff, and to play.
He said he wanted to get better at playing at the 6 technique, which is getting off the tight end. Joey, when you hear him say he wants 10 sacks this season and 2 tackles from loss, Is your initial reaction, which mine is that's it?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, wow, I guess if you keep your expectations low, you'll never be disappointed.
What did Greg Hardy? Remember what Greg Hardy's expectations
that was my
were?
first thought, man. I mean, he was like, number one, I want to eat cereal. I want to eat cereal with no spoon, and I want to have 50 sacks.
50 sacks.
That's what he said.
Gosh, Frank, way to sell yourself short, buddy. What's harder, Joey? 10 sacks or 2 tackles for a loss per game?
I would think.
Does a sack count as a tackle for a loss?
It should.
So, like, if you got 32 tackles for a loss, you would have to get 10 sacks. I wonder if that math holds up.
No, you could tackle the running back before he gets.
I mean, you don't have
all
to get
32
10
times when your job is to get after the quarterback.
It's possible.
Okay.
I don't
That
see
would
it.
suck. Wouldn't it suck if he had 32 tackles for a loss and like 4 sacks?
But I think that is one of the most interesting battles in camp, is him and Coney Ely. Who's going to win that job?
I agree.
Frank Alexander's going to win it as long as he don't smoke weed. We know Ron Rivera's he feels, and this is a little John Fox in him. He just feels a little at home with the veterans, and there's some loyalty to the veteran guy. Here's the difference though between John Fox and Ron Rivera. And we're not going to talk about this, but the very fact is John Fox couldn't ever coach up the young kids. Ron Rivera has the loyalty to the veterans, but he also can coach up the young kids, which is
he hired a coaching staff based on the ability to coach up. Look at Ricky Prohl. Nobody in the league is better at it than that. Right.
Okay, so we would like to see him bounce back. All right, guys, let's jump into a little. I think we need to play a little fact or fiction, I believe.
That's Joey's favorite.
Joey is back in honor of Joe Riolano. From the man that gets tickled about backdoor friction. Joey, Frank the Tank gets his 10 tackles, 10 sacks. Fact or fiction?
And this is also known as Deep Thoughts with Joey Riolano.
I'm going to say that is fiction because I believe Coney Ely is going to beat him out for the starting role.
Wow, okay. Mel Mayock, Frank the Tank gets 10 tackles, 10 sacks. I've got it written tackles in here. 10 sacks this season, fact or fiction?
I'm going fact because he was on a meteoric rise again last year.
We have been blasted out to the outer space.
Yeah, I think Mel is blasted.
Maybe a little, just a little. But but hey, Frank was on the right track to really dominate last year. I think he was the star of camp, but the marijuana got in the way, man. So this year, I don't think that's going to be the issue. I think he's realizing he can't do that. He's got to wait until he retires to hit the weed.
He's the mellow meteor.
But, hey, it's a topic for another day. But, man, I mean, these guys hitting the marijuana to help them rehab and to physically feel better after practice, things like that, they might have to look at that. That's not the worst idea in the world. I'm not a weed guy, but I could understand.
We are beer men here. All right. This team, I'm going to say fact. And this is going to be them.
You said that very reluctantly.
I did, because in theory, I don't think that it's going to be, I think it's going to be fiction with him, but really hoping that we just get 10 sacks from that spot, that tackle spot, or that defensive end spot.
Oh, I think that's a definite. I think Mario Addison gets at least 2. I think Ely.
Well, we need that spot to get like 15 with combined, but we need one guy to blow up. So this is, and I think this is that if we get 10 sacks from Frank the Tank, that defensive line means that's some sick defensive line play.
I agree with that.
That's like a back to 2013 type numbers. All right, next fact or fiction. This team has the necessary depth to win 10 games, Joey.
I think that's a fact. I think we are capable of winning 10 games with the depth we have. More than 10, you start to wonder, but I think 10 win minimum for this team.
This is a tough one. This is a real tough fact or fiction. Mel, fact or fiction, this team has the necessary depth to win 10 games this season.
You know I love my Panthers, man, but that's fiction. We don't have the depth. Now, if we stay healthy, I think we can win 12.
I'm with you on this.
But if we do not stay healthy, we will be right around where we were last year, 7-8 wins.
See, this is the scary part about this team. If this becomes the determining factor of the season, right? At the end of the season, if it's good or bad, or if it's successful or unsuccessful, I feel like we could make a list of all the things that were successful and all the things that were debilitating or inhibiting. So what I'm saying is this: is that if depth is the number one reason, I'm going to tell you one thing: it's not going to be in the enabling category.
Right.
You know, if that's the conversation we're having, that means that we had a crappy season.
Well, let's remember, we're still in a position where we can add depth. You know, it's not like we can't pick up. But we're going to have to.
But there's not a whole lot of great left tackles that you're going to be comfortable with playing for you, still sitting out there.
No, that you're not going to be thrilled with the idea, but we are going to add. You know, nevertheless, we got to bring somebody on board.
Yep. It might be after cuts, after the third week.
I would feel a lot better if we brought in another tackle. I think that is that if Michael Oher gets hurt, this team is going to suck, and there is a good chance. Well, maybe not suck, but that's going to really suck. And there's still a chance that even if he's healthy, that it's gonna suck. You know, that position. So, I mean, imagine not having him. I mean, that is my ultimate point. All right.
But hey, let me jump in there. If Lee Ward makes his team playing fullback, he's the stonewaller. Even if
you just put him at left tackle.
Well, you just put him to play cleanup. If somebody beats that left tackle, he's there to stonewall him.
Well, he'll be busy.
I think our defense is good enough to give us 9 wins right there, and the offense.
If we stay healthy.
Right.
If they stay healthy.
Right. And then you figure the offense is good for 1 win. Even if Cam Newton does it by himself, Cam can pull out a win. So
yeah, he can get 3.
There's 10 wins right there.
Okay, I like that. All right, before we get into the end of the show, I think it's time for a reading from Clyde.
Oh yeah.
This is what Clyde tweeted 13 hours ago. When you have the talent such as hashtag the golden one, hashtag special teams god, hashtag white lightning, and hashtag plastic protection, how can you not make it to the Super Bowl? Guess he ran out of letters at the end. He made it to the Super Bowl. That's a reading from Clyde. I'm going to tell you one thing. Don't be picking on my boy Steve Daner. We'll be coming after you, Clyde. I saw them. It's very Clydistic. All right, that's a reading from Clyde.
I like it.
Joe, I guess this is the end of the show where we tell people to ice up and all of that. But before we do that, tell them where they should go if they want to check out cool Carolina Panthers talk from the fan perspective.
You should go to CarolinaCatChronicles.com because that is the #1 fan-based Carolina Panthers site, and it is run by fans, so it is for fans, because we all know without the fan, football is just a kid's game.
Fantastic. All right, it's the time of the show where we tell someone to ice up, to toughen up, to get their act together. Everyone is game, even 12-year-olds in Oklahoma. There have been some epic ones. That's the first that comes to mind. This is the Ice Up Son segment of the week. It's the one everybody has been waiting for. And I am going to go first tonight, guys. Because
mixing it up.
I always go last, and tonight I want to go first. And tonight I'm going to go with the Ice Up pick to the media, the Carolina Panthers media, who always is a slight bit condescending in themselves. And what I think is this, is sometimes the local media, all of them, and those kind of niche national writers that are beat writers for our team, I think they all have this air of like, we're so important and objective, and you're this stupid fan. That what I mean is this that little snooty in their lack of interaction when you say something that is, I guess, intelligent and a strong statement. But they're more than happy to point out, like, oh, you're the idiot fan when you do make that, like, hey, fuck the Saints statement. So this is where this gets me upset, guys, and I'm going to tell them to ice up tonight because of this. Michael Oher gets beat on 3 plays in the first practice, and what do? All they do is say, Michael Oher looks terrible in practice, hope this isn't this and that. So they take these 2-3 plays, these individual drills that Joey was referencing, and they do what they always describe us as being. So let's lower the nose a hair and remember, like, we ain't that out far off when you do the same crap. In fact, you encourage it. So, ice up, son.
Nice.
Who wants next?
I'll go next. I will go next. My pick of the week goes to someone who should be a superstar in this league, someone that had limitless talent, someone who did good things while in college but had a difficult time adjusting to life in the NFL. Justin Blackmon makes me mad.
Oh, gosh.
He was the number 5 pick in the 2012 draft, highly touted coming out of Oklahoma State. Justin is the NCAA record holder for consecutive games with 100 yards receiving, and he holds the record for consecutive games with 200 yards receiving. This kid has talent in spades. 6 foot 1 inch, over 200 pounds, gives him good size. He ran a 4.4 40, and he benched 225 14 times. This kid is the kind of player that changes the franchise. But he could not control his need for alcohol, and when he got drunk, he thought he could drive. How many times do you wonder, with all that money that these players make, why don't they just call a cab? Or in some cases, teams actually have people on call who are available to come and pick you up if you've had too much to drink. It is a waste of amazing talent, and it's something that he had total control over. To you, Mr. Blackmon, I say, ice up, son. Call a cab next time.
Yeah. Did he get another one?
He got the first one, and then he got suspended for that. I think for like a game or something.
Has he been in trouble like in the last recent time? Is that what brought this on?
I saw the general manager for the Jaguars say today that since he's been out of the game for 21 months, his career is virtually over.
Right. And I heard that he did reapply, that Blackmon reapplied for reinstatement this year, but he was denied. I did hear that. I don't know how true that was, but that's what I've heard. I really was a huge Blackman fan when he was at
I know you
Oklahoma
wanted
State.
Panthers to
I
draft
wanted
him.
the Panthers to draft him so bad because
Yeah.
of how he was amazing. He was an amazing player.
That's sad.
All right, Mel, you're up.
All right. Well, you got something there for me? Yeah. So, I learned at an early age in my life, you don't write checks you don't let your mouth write checks that your butt can't cash. That's just a simple rule.
Top
of growing
Gun reference.
Yeah, you just don't do it. And you don't cross the line, and you don't talk about somebody's personal family business. So this young lady, Bethay Correa, okay, she thought she was going to be Miss Badass and talk to the baddest person on the planet, Ronda Rousey. She is just an animal. This Ronda Rousey, man, she could beat most men.
Yeah.
So this Bethay Correa, who you see just being face planted into the mat right there, after 34 seconds before the fight, she's talking crap to Miss Ronda Rousey. And I don't know if you know, but when Ronda Rousey was a little kid, her father committed suicide. And Bethay Correa goes on and says, before the fight, she's mentally unstable. She's winning and she's okay now. People around her are talking her up. But after she loses, I hope she doesn't go and kill herself.
Jeez.
And that, I mean, you don't.
You know what happens when you
butt-
say that to someone and their dad committed suicide? They punch you in the ear until you are dead on the mat. God.
Ronda Rousey said that she was going to prolong the fight so that the girl could learn a lesson. So I guess 34 seconds and that punch right there and that face plant was her version of prolonging the fight.
Of extending the fight.
But Bethay Correa learned something that I learned on those streets of Matthews as a kid. Don't let your mouth write a check that your butt can't cash. And go ice up, girl.
Awesome ice up, Mel. And even better that you said that you learned that phrase
In the
on
mean streets of Matthew, North Carolina.
And you know where I learned that phrase at? Is in the mean streets of Top Gun, where they played volleyball, beach volleyball in jeans and with no shirts on. And then Val Kilmer chomps in your face. Oh, I want to do this. There's this great podcast, guys. It's for the first time ever, and what they do is they watch a movie with someone that we all know and love that has never seen it before, like an old school movie. Mm-hmm. So they'll be like, "Does this?" And the very first question they ask all the time is, "Does it hold up?" Mm. My question is this. They did Spaceballs, and they thought Spaceballs was terrible, right? They're like going back and watching it. My question for all of our viewers is go back and watch Top Gun.
That's a great
us, does it hold up? See? Yep. It's a great movie when you're on the mean streets of
Matthews, North Carolina.
I'll tell you what, man.
Guys, that is awesome. And that is also the show. Guys, go ahead and get us on out of here.
All right. Hey, this is Aaron Ford, a.k.a. Mel Mayock. We got lots of stuff going on. We're going to have our first C3 Power Rankings coming out later in the week. Check us out. We got a lot of fun things going on. The C3 Fantasy Football League. You can catch up with me anytime at Panthers Drafter. And if you're in the Fantasy Football League, make sure you send out your pictures of all the Cam Wows that have been out there and your beautiful repeat shirts. All right.
Yeah, I am the freaking Puerto Rican, a.k.a. Big Tasty, a.k.a. Cortez Elwood. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Riolano. Oh, and I guess a.k.a. Joe Riolano.
A.k.a.
Yes, if you haven't gotten involved in the Fantasy Football League, you missed out because we are full. And this league is going to be super competitive. We have a champ that is going to defend her title. I'm pulling for you, Susan. Make it happen, baby.
Guys, I want to tell you to go out and get your Cam Wows, and not because I want to sell them, because I do, but I want to see these mugs all over Bank of America. I want to see the takeover, but I also want to see these Cam Wows travel. I've already got some good picks at the brewery, at Hickory Tavern.
This needs to be the new version of Flat Stanley. Where can you take a picture with no Cam Wow?
Put a wow somewhere and wow us with the Cam Wow. This is the C3 podcast. It's Tuesday when we recorded it. You're listening to it, so you know when it is then and there. But you should go and check out Carolina Cat Chronicles for all the best fan news, or news, should I say, and opinions from the fan perspective. And we are out.
Peace out.